People need to have boundaries and stand by them. When you set a boundary with a person, you are showing them the level of acceptance that you are willing to put up with when you communicate. If you allow somebody to take over in your life and you give up your own free will because they are invading your personal space, you need to think about this. See, the goal in life isn't for us to own one another, but to learn true knowledge of self. You can't let people or things get you off of what your personal path is in life. You set the standard by what you allow into your life, and if you allow continuously for people to act against your spirit or your soul house or what you want, you then become complacent in that place. You become used to the ho-hum lifestyle and you just go with it. Don't do that. Set a boundary of what you're willing to put up with and hold people accountable for their actions. Make sure that the people in your circle and around you respect your boundaries and your limits. Now, here's the thing. When you are violated, when you feel that a friend or a coworker or someone you know has violated your personal space, it's important to address it, but with compassion. The people that are doing things probably are doing them unknowns to themselves, so don't get too mad at them. Oftentimes people get stuck in the psychopathy of things, so they're not acting in their right mind because they don't have true knowledge of self. So have a bit of compassion. We're all coming out of the programming and coming up together, so we gotta help those, even the people we don't really like a lot. Sometimes that simply means we help them by walking away from the situation. Sometimes no contact is the best way to go about things. Sometimes it's the safest way. Sometimes you just got to walk away, and that's a blessing to both of you in disguise, especially if they're violating your personal space. So when you come across people who you tell them, hey, look, this is my boundary on this, or this is a trigger area, and if they continue to push at that area, you need to address it like, hey, you're pushing my boundary there and you're making me uncomfortable. Instead of giving into the moment and saying, okay, and going with their plan. Sorry about the hand motions. If you're going with their plan, and don't do it. Stay within your moral boundaries. Don't let people take you outside of your character. If you reach a boundary and a person is pressing it too much and you keep telling them, hey, this is a trigger area, it's not beneficial for either of us to go down this path, then sometimes redirecting them to something else works. Explaining why it's something that you're uncomfortable with so that you guys could move on and get past that moment. If you continuously have your boundaries violated by people, outside people will see this. They will see that you allow people to treat you that way. Therefore, that is how they will treat you. You know, karma. Karma comes back. Karma is just law unrecognized. Judgment always comes back around. So take this opportunity to, although there's the chaos and destruction on the outside, get your soul house right. Don't panic. Panic is going to solve nothing. When you panic and you're in a situation, you go into fight or flight mode, and you act on your reptilian brain, not your logic. If you're acting on your reptilian brain under duress, that's when the MK Ultra programming starts taking effect, and the things that have been pre-programmed in you, either from your family, from visuals, from outside stuff, from military, from government, whatever it may be, because it's different levels for everybody. You got to stop and take accountability and say, okay, am I acting on my behalf? If I look around me right now and I see that there's chaos about, and I think that every moment could be my last, how do I want to live it and how do I want to be remembered? That's why it's so important to have compassion, because you want people to act with compassion towards you, therefore you extend the same compassion. We're supposed to be ambassadors of Christ, right? We come, we walk on this earth, we're supposed to help others, right? So in the process of helping others, you learn, because it's like a mirror. When you're helping other people, there should be some type of reflection or lesson that you learn from that, and continuously grow. Don't get stagnant. Some people get to a point in life where they think they know it all. Once you realize that you know, none of us really know anything, because most of the stuff we learned was programming, history, So we don't have control of history in the past, but we do have control of our actions. And since the actions that we take now are going to dictate what happens in the future in our life and those around us, it's important that you set boundaries. Sometimes you got to sit aside and talk to your own self and say, self, what do you want? Who are you? Where did you come from? Like, what was your goal? Like, the youngest memory you have of you, the youngest one. See, unfortunately, because of the stuff I've been through, my memories are very fragmented. But the youngest you that you could find, what was your goal then? What was your passion? What did you like? When you first came into this world, before it was, it comes in chaotic into the birth process. But when you first come here, and we have a light about us, right? And now children have all this awe and wonder and excitement because they know the possibilities. But then older people come around and try to act like they know better on certain things, and kind of will groom a child, to a certain lifestyle, which really, in my opinion, isn't fair, because if you limit and box a child, you're handling them if you're not exposing them to the broader world out there, because it's a big world, and people get stuck in their ways and think that their way is the only way and the right way, so this is how you do it. No, that's how you continue that chain link fence. There's this thing called bondage, mental bondage, and in order to break mental bindings, that means removing mind caps. Mind captivity, your mental dome, your head in your belief system. Take accountability for yourself. Look at where you're at right now. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. But is this where you want to stay, or are you continuing to grow? Don't become stagnant. Don't fall for the outside stuff in the world, the designed chaos that's set here to get you off of your track. That is not of God. See, these are false signs and wonders you're seeing. We were warned about this in the Bible. Many of you ask me all the time, how are you able to predict stuff with such accuracy? It's not me. It's just history repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. Once you see outside the matrix and you know you're not one of them, it puts a little kink in their system. But for you, it helps you break free from the mental bindings and programs. So once you break free from the programming and you start looking at yourself and saying, okay, well, who am I? What's my goal? What do I want to do? You got to then hold yourself to that too. Hold yourself accountable. Other people are not responsible for your joy. Other people are not responsible for the inner part of what you feel in your soul. Nobody could feel that except for you. You got to have the strength to sometimes stand up for yourself when you don't want to. You got to sometimes tell people no, even though you're afraid if you tell them no, there will be bad consequences. Like maybe they won't like you. Maybe you'll get fired. Maybe they'll no longer be your friend. Whatever it may be. But truth is truth. And that's another thing. Real friends tell real friends what's up. If your friend is doing something that they shouldn't be, a true friend that's looking out for their soul is going to guide them in the right direction. You don't abandon them. You don't scold them. Those things will not help a person when they're not operating in their right sensibilities, because they're unable to think fully for themselves in that moment. That's when they need us to step in and be a bridge. You see your fellow in struggle, you help them out if you can, but set boundaries for yourself. Help yourself out too, because if you don't help you, you certainly can't help others. setting boundaries and sticking to them. That's what I'm working on this week.